When you get dealt certain hands, you know, sometimes you have no idea what the turn is going to be. And for me, it was always the thought. It was a thought of doing comedy, but I just never knew how. I never knew what to do or the approach to take, how to get there. And one day the suggestion came up from coworkers of, Kevin, there's an amateur night right around the corner at a comedy club called the Laugh House in Philadelphia. You should go do it. And I was like, I would love to do it. I never knew that these things existed. And when I got the opportunity to do that, I fell in love with the moment that I didn't know how to go get. I fell in love with the spotlight, with the stage that I didn't know existed for me. I didn't know it was available for me at that time. And once I found out how to get it, there was nothing else that mattered except that. It was about that and that only.
How was that first time? Tell me about that first time.
First time on stage was absolutely awful. I was horrible, people. I was
Did you have a set prepared? Did you go there?
Yeah, I had jokes prepared. They just weren't good jokes. But what was good is that I didn't have fear. It didn't matter that the jokes weren't working. I was in love with the fact that I was on the stage. I was in love with the fact that there were people in the crowd that had a microphone in my hand. Every joke didn't work, but I would figure it out. The silence didn't deter me from wanting to be a comedian. I wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to be a comedian after I saw Eddie Murphy Delirious. You know, my dad wasn't in my house that often, but when he was an Eddie Murphy fan, Richard Pryor fan. And I remember Delirious. I remember sneaking and watching Eddie Murphy and seeing my household laugh at Eddie Murphy. And the quotes would go on for days and weeks about what he said. I remember Richard Pryor albums and my dad laughing with his friends at Richard Pryor and the things he said and how true they were and how he was a bad man and they loved him. And what I found is that comedy brought my dad and his surroundings together. So for the dark moments that my dad had in his life, which were a lot, the memories that I have that are all positive are associated with comedy. They're associated with laughter. Wow. So at a young age, I saw the power of laughter. You know, there was such a negative cloud over my home that when I got to see what laughter did, it made me embody just that. So I wanted to bring that, not just to my household, but to people. So I became the class clown. I became the funny guy day in, day out to my mother, you know. Sometimes it's better what you don't know, because finding out is going to do more than it would have been when I had have known. If she had have attended those shows and I find that box when she passes, it's not the same thing. But the fact that I found it after the fact, it was the biggest, like, oh my God. Like,
did you feel her love in a
oh my
different
God,
way?
100%. You know, and it made me feel like the support that she gave was even bigger. And now as I achieve the success, I don't feel like, damn, I wish my mom was here to see it. I 100% know that my mom is witnessing it at the highest level and that there's a constant applause and pat on the back. So there's never the feeling or void of missing or not being present. I read the Bible, but the notice is on the door. Like they're gonna evict me, Mom. And she was like, talk to me when you read your Bible. And I'm like, all right, whatever, Mom. A couple days go by, they're changing the color of the notice. The notice is now, they've shifted to pink. This is serious. The pink means it's real. Mom, they're gonna kick me out. I'm serious. I need the money or else I'm not gonna have a place to live. Did you read your Bible? Yes, then if you read your Bible, then you wouldn't be talking to me. Mom, this is not the time. Then you didn't read your Bible. Back and forth, I get off the phone, I'm frustrated. Nighttime comes, I'm in the bed, open up the drawer, and I was like, let me read this damn Bible. Let me just read the damn Bible, man, so I can really tell this woman that I read the Bible and be honest about it so she can help me. I open up the Bible. The rent checks for the rest of the year, I fell out the Bible. You can't break a great spirit. Like, There's some
That's
people.
awesome, bro.
There's some people that have,
That's right.
you know, such a heavy weight on them with so much that they deal with, but they're able to maintain the highest levels of positivity, and it's because of their spirit. There's a higher thing in just wanting to be happy. My mom's want and will to be happy because of all that she's done is what I saw at the end. She put in all this time, energy, and work by dealing with my dad and his shit and trying to pick up all the pieces that in those last days, it was about happiness. Don't stress me out. It was nothing but happiness. So, like I said, the stories of Nancy Hart are endless, but when you see the way that I maneuver, and you look at all the things that I go through in my life, and people are like, man, he just keeps going. It seems like he's not shaken or bothered or broken. You can't break what's been built to last. I'm built to last. So that's the difference. You grow into who you're supposed to be in stand-up comedy. You know, in the beginning, you're doing a version of what you think is funny. You don't know it's funny.
Right.
So you're trying to figure it out. You're coming out and you're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. And that's the gamble. The gamble with comedy is, I think it's funny. Let me see if you guys think it's funny. And if you don't think it's funny, that means I was wrong within my gamble and I got to go back to the drawing board. The high volume of stuff that you think is funny ain't going to be funny. It's not. It's not going to be funny.
Wow.
But when you start to understand...
Even at this stage? With all the
No,
life
now
experience you have?
I'm really good. Now, when you start to get comfortable, you start to realize that I'm funny. I don't have to force and
your
find.
identity now.
It's you.
Yeah.
It's the funny is in me. So talking about my life and being true to who I am is what people are going to gravitate towards. People love to relate. People love to see what's real. You love to identify. If I sat up here and I talked about things that you guys couldn't identify with or couldn't walk away and go, wow, I'm alienating myself from my crowd. The best way to open up and make myself a part of my crowd is to be real, because we all love real. So my life, my mistakes, my ups, my downs, my marriage, my divorce, my kids, that's what we all share. We just share it differently. We all travel. If you don't travel, you want to travel. If you want to travel, where do you want to go? There's so many things that I can break down that acts as connective tissue between me and everybody. I can relate to everybody in this room and I don't have to change who I am, because ultimately, you just want to know about the person that you're watching. And when you walk away, you go, damn, that was interesting. That was funny. But if you feel like you know me and you laughed, now you grow with me. So over the years, authenticity and honesty has allowed my fan base to grow with me.
Yes.
And if you look up, I'm about to be 40. I've been doing stand-up since I was 18. My stand-up special started when I was around 24. When you go and look at me from 24 to now the age 39 going on 40, you're gonna go, holy shit, I'm watching Kevin Hart become a man. I watched Kevin Hart go through life. He put it all out there on stage, and I feel like I not only know him, but I respect him because he never hid from who he is. That's the only way that I can do stand-up comedy. I can't do it in a way to where I'm talking about what I don't know. That's why I don't do politics. That's why I don't talk about things that act as divisive material. It's my job to bring people together. I don't want to fucking divide us. I want to bring us together. So that's what I do when I'm on stage. 100%. You're living in a time where everybody's voice can be heard. Social media has given everybody the opportunity to have a thought, write that thought, put that thought out there. And other people can either get on board with that thought or ignore that thought. But no matter what, my thought, my vision can be heard. When you got a plethora of people doing that at the same time, you now have no right, no wrong, no, everything is a, no, that's, my opinion is this, my opinion is this. It's so much. So for comedy, the best way to adapt to times is to simply understand that people's feelings should be respected. I get it. I understand it. Which is why over the last 10 years, I made the changes that I've made. within the level of respect that you put out also a good energy of change. Some comedians do understand it, some choose to be edgy. You have to understand the craft of comedy. The craft of comedy comes with a shock factor. So when you take away that shock factor that some people hold on to, you take away the one thing that they had in their arsenal that they feel made them funny. It's not that they want to be disrespectful. At one point, that's what they were praised as. Andrew Dice Clay in his prime was the most disrespectful comedian and would say things and was vulgar, but that's what made him Dice. If Andrew Dice Clay performed today, we would all sit and hold our chest and go, can you believe the shit that we're listening to? Because of the times. So he would have to adapt and change to the times, like we all have to. And it's not a bad thing. I welcome the change. I welcome the fact that, hey, within time, there should be change.